Hi, math friends. Today we're looking at our study guide for adding and subtracting rational numbers. So, integers, decimals, fractions, especially when we have negatives. Let's look at these. We're going to use the number line here. So, it says to determine the sum of negative 6 plus 4. So, specifically using the number line is what we're looking at showing our work for. Start at negative 6, add 4. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Our final answer is negative 2. This would suffice for showing work. Number 2, same idea, negative 3 plus negative 7. So we're going to start at negative 3 and then add negative 7. So we're going backwards 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. At this point, you're really good at adding these numbers. Showing the work here is what we're looking for. Here we have the two-color counter model. It says write the number sentence and a sentence in words to describe it. Okay, so I got 4 positives. And also we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 negatives. So 4 plus negative 7. And then we can go ahead and count out our 0 pairs. So positive, negative together. Another positive and negative. Another positive and a negative. So I'm left with negative 3. I want to write a statement in words to show that. So this can even be as simple as explaining that you counted. So I counted, let me change that to a different color here so we can see it better. Say I counted 4 positives and 7 negatives. Then I crossed out 4 0 pairs and ended with negative 3. So something like that would suffice. Explain how you can determine the sign of two integers if one is positive and the other is negative. So if I'm adding two numbers, one's positive, one's negative, I can say if there are more positives than negatives, the answer is positive. If there are more negatives than positives, the answer is negative. If there are an equal number of each, the answer is 0. So this is all of those scenarios. We think back to everything we did. Here's an example of each. So positive and negative, where there's more positives. 3 plus negative 2, the answer is positive. Here's an answer with more. Here's one with more negatives. 3 plus negative 5. The answer to that is negative 2 then. And then the same. 3 plus negative 3. The answer to that is 0. So those are the 3 scenarios we're looking at here. Determine the unknown addend. So something plus negative 13 is negative 40. So I got to get more negative. So I'm going to have negative 27. Okay, good way to think about this is 13 plus something to get to 40. 13 plus 27 gets you 40. All right, 5 plus something to get to negative 9. So I want to end at negative 9. I got to get more negative, right? All right, another one where we have a written explanation and the final answer. It says, explain how you can use a number line to determine the number that is 8 less than 3. So less than means I'm going to start at 3 and then go 8 less. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My answer is negative 5. So it says, what is the number? There we go. And written explanation, we're going to say we start at 3 and 8 less means to move left 8 spaces. The answer is negative 5. When you're doing these explanations, keep them as simple as explaining what you did and make sure that you're writing a full sentence. A number sentence for this model. So I'm seeing this thing circled. That's being taken away. So this is actually subtraction. So what are we starting with? We're starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're starting with 10. So 10 negatives, negative 10. minus what's being taken away. Negative 3 is being taken away. So what's left over? Count the ones that aren't being taken away. We have negative 7 left. All right. So remember, this we can explain by counting too. So we're going to say I counted 10 total negatives, and there are 3 being taken away. For number 9, we're going to look at the same idea. We're going to explain how you use the number line to determine negative 5 minus negative 3. Now, a couple ways to do this. Minus negative, we can recall that minus a negative is the same as adding. So this is negative 5 plus 3. So I can start at negative 5 and then do plus 3. 1, 2, 3. And I end at negative 2. So that's the answer. I'm going to make sure I circle that. And we can say subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive. So this is negative 5 plus 3. We began at negative 5, move right 3, and end at negative 2. It might take a little bit to understand. It might take a little bit to write these answers, but take the extra couple minutes to do it, and you're really going to show that you've learned it well. Last one's adding and subtracting. So we got a decimal here, we got decimals here, and we got fractions. So we need to remember how to do these. First off, I got a positive here, positive 5.8, and negative 8.45. So our strategy with that is I'm going to subtract them. Think about them as both being positive. Remember to line up the decimal. I'm going to do this 0 in a different color. This 5.8, I need to tack on a 0 here to keep everything in line. All right, so I'm going to borrow here 14 minus 8. My answer is 2.65, but because there's more negatives than positives, it's going to be a negative 2.65. Good part to show work down here. There's plenty of room on your page. All right, other one, minus negative. So minus negative is like adding, right? All right, and again, I got positives and negatives, so I'm going to think about it as subtraction. This is another one where I have to be careful with my place value. The decimal has to be lined up. So here's a 0 here. And then we go ahead and compute this. So this is 8. Borrowed a 10 here. So that's 8. 8 minus 6 is 2. Subtract here. My answer is 14.28. And then look at your numbers again. What's further from 0? Positive 27 or negative 13? Positive. So this is the positive version of this. Over here, we have to get common denominators. We can multiply by 2 over 2. So I get negative 6/8 plus 7/8. So now I can say, well, that's going to be out of 8, of course. Negative 6 plus 7 is 1. All right, very last one here. 5 and 2 are the denominators, and I have mixed numbers. Remember, when you have mixed numbers, you don't really need to worry about the whole number right away. We can do that later. So I'm going to make sure that these fractions are out of the same pieces. You can make them out of 10 by doing this. I'm going to show my work down here where I have more room. So I have 4/10 here, and this is a negative 3. And then I have minus 4 and 5/10. All right, something to remember too is that I can think of this as plus negative. And these whole numbers are both negative, so that's going to be negative 7. Okay, 10 is the denominator. We have to be careful with this too because these fractions are also negative. This is negative 4 and negative 5. So this is negative 4 plus negative 5. I get negative 9 here. All right, but because they were both negative to start with, I actually don't need to write negative 9. It's already assumed that it's negative because of the negative in front of the 7. So let's go ahead and write our final answer in here, negative 7 and 9/10. All right, so check through the study guide. Hope that this really helps you. And work hard, math friends. You're going to do great.